Alarming new insight on how Safe Streets workers handle illegal guns they find during their mediations.
They are not communicating that with law enforcement.
The concerns on whether the program is serving its intended purpose. Bike lanes causing headaches for residents citywide. Now photos surface of a car parked in one. A high-ranking official, sources say it belongs to. Gunfire erupts as a man shoots at two suspects trying to carjack him.
We just heard a pop.
We take a closer look at the growing trend of people taking justice into their own hands.
We've discussed, doing a conceal and license to carry.
Plus, a monster extension for the Ravens. The Pro Bowler staying in Baltimore for the next 4 years.
Tracking more showers ahead of your weekend. I'm breaking down how much rain you could see and timing out the impact hour by hour.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
Let's take a live look around our region tonight. It's looking pretty calm out there right now, but apparently it won't stay this way for long.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Fox 45 is tracking our next weather maker that's bringing some rain for the start of your weekend. Good evening, I'm Maxine Stryker.
And I'm Kai Jackson. Let's go straight to meteorologist Jasmine Lomax for the latest on your weekend forecast. Jasmine, we were hoping for some sun, but that's not going to happen.
At least not tomorrow. We may get a little bit of sunshine on Sunday, but It's going to be windy. So really not the best weekend. We've got rain and then very strong winds. So if you will be out and about, you certainly want to make sure that you are checking the radar before you head out tomorrow. Now we're keeping watch on a system that's moving toward the east. We'll start to notice those impacts tomorrow morning. The rain continues throughout the day and into the night. However, we do clear out by Sunday. That's when you can expect a drier pattern to begin. Behind the cold front, though, it will be windy, and with the rain and the winds, we could be looking at downed tree limbs or even power lines. Coming up, we'll have a closer look at the timing of the system, and I'll let you know what to expect into next week in my full forecast. Back to you.
All right, Jasmine, thank you. Stay with our Fox 45 News team of meteorologists. They'll track the rain throughout the night and keep you up to date both on air and online. Wake up with meteorologist Amy Aronson for everything you need to know before you head out the door on Fox 45 Morning News starting at 7 a.m.
Of course, I think the police should get involved. It's a good thing for the city to be trying to clean the streets up.
What's going on now is not working.
When they do have a meeting in a community, we listen to what you say and then we ignore it.
Fox 45 is following the fallout surrounding two high-profile hearings last night at City Hall. That includes frustration over those bike lanes, as sources say the mayor himself recently parked in a bike lane.
Plus, some big concerns over what Safe Streets workers do and don't do when they find illegal guns on the streets.
We have team coverage starting with Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost.
She's taking a closer look at one key moment last night surrounding Safe Streets employees and guns.
One of the biggest takeaways from Thursday night's hearing was the fact that Safe Streets workers do not alert the police when there are weapons involved in the mediations that are completed. Not only is that raising questions for some council members, not everyone in the community we talked to is happy about it. This moment in Thursday night's City Council hearing on Safe Streets hiring practices sticking out to many.
And so if there are weapons that are seen in those moments, no, they are not communicating that with law enforcement.
That admission from the mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement coming just months after Safe Streets workers mediated conflicts here at the Brooklyn Day block party in July, where weapons were present, and hours later, 30 people were shot. So Friday, we went to the Brooklyn community, where the Safe Streets spot sits along the main street. Hi there. Looking for some community input.
I don't think it's a good idea for them not to call the police. I think it's always a good idea for the cops to get involved.
They're over there.
Around the corner,
they can't save everybody. You feel me?
A different view.
What do y'all need them to do? What do y'all want them to go up and take the gun away?
If they're not required to involve law enforcement, what's the point of the program?
Jason Johnson, former Baltimore City Police Deputy Commissioner, argues there should be a policy in place for Safe Streets workers to get law enforcement involved.
If Safe Streets personnel cannot take any action to actually prevent an act of violence that they know or highly suspect will occur, how else can it be effective? And is it really a credible program to the community?
A question Councilman Isaac Yitzi Schleifer, chair of the committee, argues is the crux of his concerns, especially with Baltimore City grappling with a gun violence crisis.
They simply diffuse the situation on the spot and let everybody go on their way. So that is certainly very concerning. When we have tens of millions of dollars going to an entity that is telling us that they're not willing to be part of removing guns from the streets of Baltimore.
Friday, we sent the other members of the city council questions asking, do you believe it's appropriate that these employees working for a taxpayer-funded program do not report to law enforcement when there are weapons involved? If yes, please explain why the city should continue to fund a program that is not alerting police when someone has a weapon. Council President Nick Mosby telling Fox 45 News in a statement, Safe Streets workers are not law enforcement or serve as confidential informants with law enforcement. Adding, Monzi says the current policy is best practices. Councilman Antonio Glover also issuing a lengthy statement telling Fox 45 News in part, quote, as part of their work to change cultural norms in the community, their role is to convince that individual to put the firearm away in a secure location. The rest of the council elected to serve the people of Baltimore, ignoring the questions. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
For years, Fox 45 News has heard from city leaders, including council members, the mayor, and police commissioners, saying the focus needs to be on getting guns off the streets.
It's the guns. Why we have so many guns on the street. We have to work to make sure that people are not solving problems with a gun, period. And then continue to work hard to get these guns off the street.
Yeah, I want to accomplish is get a lot of these guns off the street. The proliferation of guns in our city is crazy.
It again highlights the impacts and the need to deal with the over-proliferation of illegal guns on our streets and the ability for those who should not have them to get their hands on them.
This is also looking into criminal connections within the Safe Streets program. Last night, Fox 45 asked how many Safe Streets workers have been criminally charged while employed by the nonprofits. McKinsey Press Monzi Director Stephanie Mavronis on that issue.
How many current and or former Safe Streets employees have been criminally charged while employed by the community-based organizations?
That's not a number that I have here today. I think I'm aware of some of the high-profile incidents that have taken place in the past, and what we're committed to doing is making sure that we're getting the right individuals in the roles.
Baltimore City Council members have been voicing frustrations over the lack of data showing the success of Safe Streets overall. Monzi has been touting a Johns Hopkins report showing some success in areas, but not others. The city is supposed to get daily reports or logs from the locations, but when asked about that, Monzi did not have a straight answer.
Right. So are there daily reports from each of the sites given to Monzi, like they indicated at that last hearing?
I think you're referring to what's entered into the case management system, and this is what we collect to create the report that you saw on the presentation. So what we use that information to do is to create reports like this to give and tell the story of the work that's happening on a daily basis at each of the sites. So it's not necessarily data that's given to us on a daily basis.
So whatever data was provided to Hopkins or whoever did that study, can you provide that same raw data to the council?
We would need to look into that and get back to you. I think the reason we intentionally provide aggregate level data is because of some of the privacy and sensitive information that we referenced earlier.
His director touted the success of Safe Streets over the past year, saying the Penn North location has had more than 365 days with no gun-related homicides. This week, the mayor and Monzi held a celebration for the accomplishment, but Fox 45 was not invited. McKinsey pressed Mavronis on that issue as well, and if we could see how a Safe Streets location operates.
I'm speaking with you right now. I think we are about sharing accurate information about the program. We're about not operating in a realm of suggestion or innuendo. I think it's important that Baltimore understands what this work is and can see it firsthand. So that's something that we can absolutely talk about.
Tonight, Fox 45 News is pushing back on her claims surrounding Safe Streets mediations and the Penn North catchment zone. There have been a dozen homicides in the area around Penn North over the past year. This map right here from Baltimore Police has the Penn North zone circled right here in red. Just a block away from the border on North Fulton Avenue, multiple people have been killed. On the south side, there have been several homicides in the Sandtown-Winchester Safe Street Zone. The 10 Safe Street zones only cover about 2.5 square miles, which according to census data makes up less than 3% of the city.
Well, it is important to note that Monzi and the Safe Streets program are highly funded. For the fiscal year 2024, Monzi had a budget of $22.1 million. About $12 million of that money was earmarked for neighborhood safety and engagement programs. Safe Streets is one of the many programs that falls under that umbrella, although we don't know exactly how much it receives. On top of that, Monzi received $250,000 in general funds for Safe Streets to offset a reduction in state funding. That brings us to our question of the day. Should Safe Streets workers be required to report any criminal activity? So far, looks like most of you are saying yes. To make your voice heard, head to foxbaltimore.com/vote. Yesterday, we asked, should Safe Streets funding be pulled because of a lack of transparency? 60% of those who voted said yes, 40% said no.
And frustration over bike lanes in Baltimore doesn't seem to be getting any better following a city council hearing on the issue last night. And tonight, we're getting a look at what sources tell us is a picture of the mayor's car parked in a bike lane. Fox 45's Jeff Abel joins us live now with more on that frustration. Jeff.
Well, you know, violators who block bike lanes in this city do face a hefty fine, $252. But it appears not everyone is concerned.
Baltimore is being planned for everybody but Baltimoreans.
At City Hall, the tug-of-war over bike lanes is drawing fire. At a hearing Thursday night, residents complained bike lanes have cost them parking.
So I have to park my car further with my babies and with my grandmother.
And business owners complained that bike lanes have slowed their deliveries.
All of these deliverers are threatened with getting tickets due to double parking.
Last summer, the city did step up its efforts to keep bike lanes clear of vehicles. Citations for those who park in bike lanes cost violators $252. But Monday night, no citation was issued to this vehicle, which witnesses say belongs to the mayor's security detail. It was parked in a Roland Park bike lane for more than an hour, while the mayor was inside a church for a candidates forum.
And it represents the frustration many Baltimoreans are facing when it comes to these bike lanes.
Political analyst Giovanni Patterson says the bike lane blockage seems to contradict the mayor's message.
He's an advocate, then he should definitely adhere to the laws.
I believe that this layout of the bike lanes need to be revisited.
Critics are now calling on the city to redesign its bike lanes in a way which will accommodate everyone. So far, the city has issued some 62 of those bike lane citations this year. The mayor's office has yet to comment. We're live tonight. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Jeff, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 10 o'clock tonight, a student at Morgan State University is going viral with her video detailing how she says a security guard harassed her, saying the school didn't believe her claims. We take a closer look at her story and how the university is responding. A pig-down man fights back against would-be carjackers, how he defended himself, and how this fits into a troubling trend that has some residents looking to move. And coming up after the break tonight, he's here to stay, at least for the next 4 years. The star player who will continue to be a centerpiece on the Ravens defense.
On Tuesday, the Ravens used the franchise tag on Justin Madubuike. Got that right, huh?
You did get that right, Maxine. There you go.
They're hoping to get a long-term deal done before the July deadline. Thanks to Rocco for the pronouncer.
Absolutely, Rocco, good man. And it didn't take long. And with that, the team's star defensive tackle will remain in Baltimore for at least the next 4 years. Rocco, it seems that Ravens fans are mad about Madubuike.
Yeah, Kai and Maxine, that was spot on. Well done right there. It's the reason so many fans trust general manager Eric DeCosta so much. Last year, the team tagged Lamar Jackson only to sign him to a long-term deal. This offseason, same thing happened to Justin Madubuike just 3 days later. The Ravens have announced that they have agreed on a 4-year extension with Madubuike worth a reported $98 million. I just want to hold one. $75.5 million guaranteed. Not only will it keep him in Baltimore for the foreseeable future, it's expected to give the Ravens some more cap flexibility, and that's a great thing. Madubuike, he's coming off his best season in the league, one where he set a career high with 13 sacks. That also led the Ravens. Eric DeCosta called this a great way to start the new league year, saying, quote, Justin is one of the best defensive tackles in the entire NFL and a cornerstone on our defense. We are thrilled for Justin and his family and equally happy for our fan base, end quote. Now with the long-term extension done, DeCosta and the Ravens front office, they can shift their focus to NFL free agency with the new league year. That's beginning next Wednesday, guys.
Who wants to go through that? Not just, being carjacked, but actually having to use their gun.
Well, one would-be victim takes action, sending 2 armed suspects running for their lives. Fox 45's Vincent Hill has more on what happened and why residents say it could take some time for them to get situations under control, but some are taking matters into their own hands. Vincent.
Yeah, Kai, well, one victim of an attempted armed carjacking decided to shoot first and ask questions later.
On this quiet street in the Camden Crossing neighborhood.
We were in the living room and we just heard a pop.
A few seconds later, Baltimore police respond to the scene.
33 to Fox. We just received an armed person call.
A shooting outside of a house.
Fox, you have one person outside in the street about to get inside of the red vehicle, and then you have one person hanging out.
The shooter, the owner of the red car.
They were attempting to rob or carjack the victim. The victim withdrew his legal firearm and discharged once at them.
Shooting at the suspects before becoming a victim. The would-be robbery.
Not in here.
Leaving residents stunned.
A carjacking last night, that was scary.
But it's not the first time. Back in January, just 5 doors down.
Reports of carjacking. It's a black 2012 Volkswagen Jetta sedan. Suspect had a gun.
This video shows 3 juveniles carjacking a man 1 street over last month.
They produced the handgun, held it to my victim's head apparently, and demanded his phone.
Last year, in the same cul-de-sac, another armed carjacking captured on camera.
This looks like a place that they could find some stuff.
Now, residents say they're fed up with the thought of becoming the next victim.
Leave people alone. Leave people's things alone. We work too hard for this stuff. Yeah. Trust me.
And are considering taking steps to make sure it doesn't happen.
I know I don't want to be a victim, so I know that we've discussed, doing a conceal and license to carry and things of that nature, and definitely taking the proper and appropriate steps to carry a gun.
Now, it's unclear if one of those suspects was actually shot. Baltimore police tell me there were no walk-in victims at any local hospital. Meanwhile, those suspects remain on the loose. We're live in Baltimore. Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
Vincent, thank you. A suspect is in custody and 2 officers are hurt following a vehicle stop in Baltimore City. You can see video from the scene near Washington Avenue on the right of your screen. Officials say the officers suffered minor injuries, but they didn't say exactly what happened. Police say the suspect was arrested later in Anne Arundel County. This is exclusive video of that arrest. At one point, first responders treated the suspect's feet. No word on the suspect's identity or any charges that person may be facing.
An investigation is underway after police say a juvenile was assaulted in Northwest Baltimore. It happened near the Connections Academy. Police say a juvenile victim told officers she was approached by a man wearing all black clothing in a mask. According to the victim, the suspect pulled out a gun, touched her, and forced her to lift up her shirt and take off some of her clothing. Officers say the man also took the juvenile's backpack and some cash. Anyone with information is asked to call police.
Budget concerns in Annapolis as lawmakers face a looming deficit. The revenue shortfalls creating problems for lawmakers.
TikTok users angry with Congress over a bill that could get rid of the app in the United States. I'm Atra El-Nashar on Capitol Hill with whether that's making lawmakers change their minds.
We're getting ready for the next round of rain tomorrow, so if you have plans, you may want to move those inside. We could have some areas of heavy rain at times, especially heading into the night. Now by Sunday, the rain clears, but we're talking strong winds. Coming up, I'll have a closer look at the timing of the rain and just how strong those winds will be coming up in my full forecast.
Now you can watch Fox 45 News for free anytime on Amazon Fire TV or Samsung TV Plus.
On Capitol Hill, a bipartisan coalition of lawmakers is moving quickly on legislation that could result in a ban on TikTok in the United States. They say it's a matter of national security because the Chinese government can access user data and use it to undermine American interests. TikTok users aren't happy, and they're making sure Congress knows it. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar explains what Congress will do next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Congress taking on the parent company of TikTok, moving with lightning speed on legislation that would prohibit TikTok in the U.S. unless it separates from Beijing-based parent company ByteDance, which under Chinese law is obligated to provide user data to the Chinese Communist Party. Just 48 hours after the bill was introduced, it passed unanimously out of committee.
The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted.
It heads to the full House for a vote next week.
It's about foreign adversary control of the news and the ability to spy on Americans.
The editor-in-chief of ByteDance is himself the secretary of the very Chinese Communist Party cell embedded in the leadership of ByteDance.
With a duty, lawmakers say, to make sure TikTok abides by the political direction of the CCP.
TikTok can continue to exist in the United States as long as it's not effectively controlled by the Chinese Communist Party.
TikTok pushing back, claiming the bill violates the First Amendment. even encouraging users to call their representatives. People we spoke to had mixed feelings.
What do you think people your age would think if just all of a sudden TikTok was off their phones?
They wouldn't know what to do. That's real.
There's no need to get rid of it. I think that's overblown, but if it goes away, people will find somewhere else to post videos and hang out.
A lot of kids will switch over to Instagram Reels.
Would you be upset? Probably. China can access your data. Is that something that would bother you? Yes. Yeah. But you would be upset if TikTok was gone? I would.
Mixed signals on this issue also in the presidential race. President Biden's campaign has a TikTok account, but his administration supports the legislation. As for former President Trump, he supported a TikTok ban when he was in office, but now defends the platform because he says he doesn't want a ban to benefit Facebook, a site he's long criticized. At this moment, it appears enough of Washington is on board with a ban. At the pace things are going, it could soon be a reality. On Capitol Hill, I'm Atra El-Nashar reporting.
A viral video of a Morgan State University student saying school officials didn't believe her claims of sexual harassment. After the break, how the school is responding.
The immigration debate sparked a memorable moment during the State of the Union. I'm Kayla Gaskins with that story straight ahead.
We're following three big stories at 10:30 tonight. The immigration debate is sparking a memorable moment during President Biden's State of the Union speech. What happened and why critics are calling the move offensive.
The state of Maryland facing a budget deficit, and it could impact you, the taxpayer. The extra fees being proposed in Annapolis that could hurt your wallet.
A video is going viral on social media of a Morgan State University student saying school officials didn't believe her claims of sexual harassment.
I need help. I said I need help.
Well, in the video, the student says a campus security guard sexually harassed her.
And Keith Daniels joins us live now with more on the video and the response from the university tonight. Keith.
Well, Maxine, university officials say they became aware of these allegations last night, hours after the alleged victim says her claims were initially ignored. And tonight, the university's response. Morgan State University officials responding to what they're calling, quote, a troubling video. Reaction after a student says she was repeatedly sexually harassed by a security guard at the school. The student detailing her complaints on social media Thursday in a post now gone viral.
This isn't the first time that this 60-plus-year-old man has made an advance at me on this school campus. I am a student here.
The student claims while attending her classes at Martin D. Jenkins Hall, the security guard made several advances, talking about her legs in an attempt to ask her out on a date. After the final attempt Thursday, the woman claims she reported the incidents to a faculty member at Jenkins Hall, who the student says she overheard the faculty member on the phone, claiming she did not believe the student's claims because the faculty member knows the security guard. The disbelief, a blow to the student.
And I just don't like it, and I don't want to go here anymore.
Jean Henningsen.
If somebody tells you to stop, you need to stop.
Is with Turnaround, a nonprofit agency in Baltimore focused on, among other services, helping victims of sexual harassment.
When that help doesn't come, that can be very harmful to the survivor. You know, they're reaching out, they're being very vulnerable at that point. So that can just be re-traumatizing if they're not getting the help that they need in order to be safe.
We reached out to university officials with questions, including what is the current disposition of the security guard allegedly involved in the alleged incident? And how is the university addressing the students' concerns? The university responded with a statement that reads in part, the alleged improper behaviors described in the video do not represent Morgan's values, and the matter is currently being thoroughly investigated. Well, in the video, the student says she's a senior dealing with their midterm elections, or midterm exams, rather, as the university moves forward with this investigation. We're live tonight. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
Well, the Maryland legislative session continues in Annapolis with top issues ranging from juvenile crime to education, even the state budget.
And right now, Maryland is facing a major budget deficit, which could ultimately impact you, the taxpayer. Earlier today, Fox 45 learned the latest estimates put revenue down more than $250 million. That's compared to the last time the Board of Revenue Estimates came together and took a look at those projections. Right now, the Senate is moving through the budget first. There are several conversations about how to fund programs and priorities. Senate President Bill Ferguson remains adamant about not talking about raising taxes this year, but that doesn't mean other things won't go up.
We are constitutionally required to pass a balanced budget. Our economy is not moving as fast as we would like it to be moving. That's not the time to take more money out of the economy.
But should Marylanders be prepared for those various fee increases to be implemented this year and then perhaps prepare for tax increases in years to come?
Yes, there will be places where Marylanders will see increased fees for targeted purposes.
Well, some of those targeted purposes include the trauma system in Maryland. That's where we're seeing conversations about a fee on firearm sales, ammunition, and an increase in vehicle registration.
What do you say to critics, though, who say that that is just, you know, we're heading into an election year in November, and that this is a way to generate some revenue without using the word taxes?
I mean, look, I am willing to go to any Marylander and talk about the importance of our shock trauma system. Any single Marylander. And I have not found a single person who says, you know what, we should underfund shock trauma. Most Marylanders reasonably understand that for those specified purposes, having a revenue stream that supports those specified activities is reasonable.
In the House, several taxes are being discussed, but Senator Ferguson says those likely won't make it this year. Lawmakers are constitutionally required, as he mentioned, to pass a balanced budget. Senator Ferguson says that he wants this budget to be done on time, which means it would need to be completed by April 1st. The Senate is moving its version of the budget today, so next week we'll be able to see what's changing from Governor Wes Moore's proposal. Meanwhile, tonight,
it would be a mistake for the legislature to use its newly expanded budgetary power to return to the old habits of raiding the rainy day fund or recklessly spending down the surplus.
Despite former Governor Larry Hogan's stern warning before leaving office, Maryland's deficit is mounting. As the budget battle continues in Annapolis, new estimates show the state will be bringing in $250 million less than expected. And now, as Fox 45's Jessica Babb shows us, lawmakers are looking for ways to bring in more cash.
As you're putting together your budget, you might have to set aside more money to cover your day-to-day expenses.
Even though the state legislature said that they're not going to raise taxes, raising fees has the same effect because people are paying more.
With a $3 billion shortfall in the state's transportation budget, one solution proposed by Delegate Mark Corman is a 50-cent retail delivery fee. A 50-cent fee for many items you have delivered, anything from food to furniture. You could also have to pay that fee on Uber or Lyft rides.
We know from the data that the delivery vans and trucks are tearing up our roads.
But that could add up fast. For instance, if you had 15 deliveries in a week, that's an extra $7.50 a week. In a month, that's an extra $30. And $360 over the course of a year.
I think it's ridiculous.
If you take the tolls, the price you pay could also go up. Another solution to make up for the shortfall. As the first toll increase in a decade, proposed legislation says the tolls would be set to near optimal toll rates, costing you more on your commute.
There's no indication about what the increase is going to be, but there doesn't need to be one. What the state needs to do is prioritize transportation spending projects and not raise tolls.
But it doesn't stop there. House Bill 1515 would lower the state sales tax rate from 6% to 5%, but it would expand what you have to pay sales tax on, like accounting services, mechanics, dry cleaning, and even getting your hair cut.
All these fee increases have one thing in common, is that they're going to hurt lower income and middle income families, because those are the ones who pay the bulk of these increase in fees.
These proposals adding up to less money in your pocket, coming with costs that could be significant to your bottom line, making up millions for the state's spending.
Instead of raising taxes, instead of raising fees, there needs to be fiscal discipline in Annapolis.
Jessica Babb, Fox 45 News.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right.
A comment President Biden made last night during the State of the Union address is drawing criticism from both sides of the aisle.
National correspondent Kayla Gaskins takes a closer look at the backlash.
As President Biden made his way to the podium Thursday to give the State of the Union address, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene handed him one of these pins, demanding he say the name, Lincoln Riley.
I know how to say the name.
Lincoln Riley. The 22-year-old was murdered in Georgia last month, allegedly by a migrant from Venezuela, her death turning into a symbol of the country's broken immigration system. When Biden addressed immigration Thursday evening, Greene continued to yell.
Not really.
Prompting this apparently ad-libbed response where Biden did say her name and held up the pin.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal.
Critics pointing out he called her Lincoln instead of Lakin. Others zeroing in on his use of illegal to describe the alleged murderer.
Now, you should have said undocumented, but that's not a big thing, okay? What's the big thing about it?
Representative Joaquin Castro calling Biden's rhetoric dangerously close to language from Donald Trump. The Biden administration previously put out a memo advising the use of undocumented to describe people who enter the country illegally. Biden didn't offer any concrete action plans from the executive branch to fix the border, instead urging Congress to pass a bill.
When I left office, we gave Joe Biden the most secure border in U.S. history. What's happened now is a horror show.
With no signs of the crisis at the southern border improving, it remains